Welcome to Cackling in the Void.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kaylee.
Let's see if the void echoes back today. I almost died, but it's okay. We are here today to talk about chapters 25 through 27 of Fourth Way.
Which is so exciting.
It is. I avoided death for this very moment, actually.
I'm glad. Wow. Actually, for this moment, that's crazy.
I know. Just for you, Kaylee.
I mean, what can I say?
And our lovely viewers, but obviously it was for you.
Clearly,
Yeah?
Although I would want to say that I am to die for, so how dare you think that I wasn't worth it? Ugh.
How dare I? So welcome back. We hope that you've been enjoying the series as much as we are. I personally can't believe we're already at chapter 25.
I know, right? It
I feel
feels
like we literally just started.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It feels so much like we just started.
Like,
but
we're
we're
literally
already
just
here.
right here on my couch filming this? I'm so confused.
I mean, it does feel like no time has passed. I thought we have been, but I don't know. I guess it's been longer.
Strange.
So
I can't
strange.
believe that. And I'm like, chapter 25? I remember just starting. Anyway, that's wild. But the point is, we're starting chapter 25 through 27 today. We thought that was a really nice, arc that goes through it, and that was a good point of, hey, chapter 25 to 27. Starts good, ends good for this little arc. So would you like to start us right off with chapter 25 and the squad battles, Kaylee?
Yes, I would. Coconut water, not a sponsor. Although we would love it if you would do that. Now, starting back onto the chapter.
So many of these.
We are on chapter 25. Starting with the squad battles. They are a little bit behind just in general.
Yeah.
Because Violet decided on the, lack of a better term, cross-country flying trip that she wanted Taryn to release his magical hold on her, and so she kept falling a lot, which is why they are in second to last currently at this point, because Violet and Taryn came in last place for that, so that really bumped them down.
Yeah.
And they are hoping that Liam, who is fighting on the mat right now, can win.
Yeah,
because
and Rhea's also currently fighting on the mat and screaming at the person she's doing, tap out, dude, I don't want to kill you, please tap out.
Yes, because squad battles get so intense. They just
do.
Hardcore intensity, and they really are fighting for, I want to say progression in the school. They're fighting for their spot for recognition and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
which
it's
I think is
very interesting, and it shows again how this school is run and how, with the lack of better terms, shitty it is.
Yeah. I mean,
how
hardcore.
Not what I was gonna say, but yes. I would say patriarchal, but I don't think that's the right word. How much of a hierarchy there is. I got there. There very much is a hierarchy at this school, and making the students compete against each other, all of them very much shows the hierarchy because you want to come out on top above everybody else, and how there's a hierarchy of like
Mhm.
the general, the professors, the instructors, and like the very much a big thing in this school, and it shows it, at least to me, with the squad battles a lot.
I would absolutely agree with that. But not only that, I think one of the biggest reasons why they're really trying to rank so high is because this does get put on your permanent record once you graduate. You know, the higher in the class that you graduated, the more you're gonna get. I'm trying to like figure out how to word this, that you're gonna get like a better position once you graduate,
Oh, that's
and
true. Like the
maybe
higher that
like a
you,
better station.
yeah, like you might be a
Hmm.
lieutenant or you might be a
Yeah.
captain. I don't know if they have those, but you'll get a higher
Yes.
rank once you're out of Pascal.
Yes, and lo and behold, Liam does win his battle on the mat and bumps them up to second place, which is
Is it second
great
or
for
third place?
them.
I think it's third.
I don't know. Great. Bumps them up to third place. Good job, Ashley. That lightning memory. Well, is
Thank you,
it?
thank you. What?
Is it? Like, is it second or third place?
It's third. We have written down third. So then they're all very excited. Riddick and Sawyer and Violet and everybody's so excited. And then, was it Mari? No, it's Panchek. Yeah. Panchek. And steps out onto the mat and is like, hey, like, I know you expected the squad battle thing to be tomorrow, but have you guys seen your squad leaders and wing leaders? Because I don't think you have. And they start looking around, they're like, oh shit, they're not in this room. What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
And
they.
that kind
Please go ahead.
I was going to say, and that leads us to the final task, is not to find the squad leaders, but to consider their squad leaders demised.
Yeah, which I think is really interesting. I know I say that a lot about a lot of this book, but I find it very interesting.
I also find it interesting because the way that he says it is like, you need to think of your squad leaders no longer being here because, yes, we put the best and brightest as your leaders, but the best and brightest should have been able to design a squad that carries on after
Mm-hmm.
they pass.
Yes. After they pass that, you should be able to continue functioning if you're in battle, or if you're not even in battle, but they pass
Mm-hmm.
while they are out in battle or something. Like, you need to be able to continue to function as a unit and not fall apart while if you no longer have a leader, which can be really challenging. I could see how that could be really hard to do.
Definitely, I would agree with that. It's also the idea of, who is the leader now? Where does
Yeah.
this go? Um, and as they're going through this, they're trying to figure out actually who is now next in quote unquote line
Mm-hmm.
if their leaders do die.
Yeah, and
And
they all kind of agree. They're like, well, it should be the third years because it's their last year here. They have the most experience. And two of them are like, why do you think we never got into leadership? Absolutely not. Not our cup of tea. So Imogen ends up being in charge, which, good for her. I love Imogen.
I do too. I know that in this book she's not quite as highlighted as in other books, but I still like her like starting out in
Yeah.
this small role and realizing that she could be in charge if something were to happen. I also find it extremely interesting that she does lean on Violet to help her devise a plan and to look at other people's signets and I guess devise a plan using everybody's powers and signets to the best of their ability.
So Imogen is in charge, but she is like asking anybody for like ideas and things that they know of that would be a smart idea to grab because they have to go find a piece, an object or something that would give their enemies the biggest advantage in the battle. So they have to think, and they have no boundaries, just Basgiath. They can go anywhere in Basgiath. That is the boundary. And they have to think, and they have an hour, I believe.
I thought they had 2 hours, but
They have
maybe
a certain amount of time.
but maybe an hour sounds better. It's like more hasty.
I don't know, but they have a time limit on how to get these objects. And so Imogen's like, hey, do you guys have any ideas? And Violet kind of thinks, hey, like, this is a really risky idea, but what are your guys' signets? And she starts asking everybody their different types of signets. And, there's the wind, there's memory wiping, there's. My eyeball is itchy.
Astral projection.
Thank you.
There it is.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. There's something in my eye. I apologize.
And she's just kind of gaining everybody's powers and signets together, and she actually decides that maybe we should break into General Sorrengail's office, who is her mother.
Mm-hmm.
So she wants to break into her mother's office, who is obviously the general here. And she doesn't quite know what to steal just yet. She's just thinking of a plan and a way just to break in without hopefully getting killed, because she openly says that if my mother catches us, we will she's not going to be soft on us. We probably will die.
Yeah, like just because I'm her daughter doesn't mean that we get a free pass. Just to let you guys know, we will die if we get caught. So, and she ends up like devising a plan. But I do think it's interesting how like Violet did have to clarify, like, hey, and it just because I'm her daughter doesn't mean we're gonna get away with it. Kind of showing again how her mother is that very general appearing mother. Like
yes,
general, like she's the general of Basgiath. Wanted to clarify.
Especially to her, she is very strict, very, lack of better terms, professional with Violet.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting comparatively to how she acts around Mira, where yes, she is professional in a way, but she treats Mira more like a spunky daughter than Violet.
Yes, I would agree.
So as they are going in to steal something from her mother's office,
they are talking also about like what they should take. And they start talking about scribes.
Yeah, they do. it's very interesting that they are talking about scribes, and a couple people have big opinions about scribes.
Yes, they do. Sorry, did you want a response from me? I'm so sorry.
Well, I assumed you were going to read the quote,
Oh, I'm
but
so sorry. I thought, yeah, I didn't realize that we were already there. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you wanted me to
that,
respond. I apologize. I was not.
I mean,
It's okay.
that was the lead. Well, some people have some very big thoughts about scribes.
Like, ah, I guess I'm just talking to myself. Who would have done that before? So
Yeah.
then, um, they're talking, and Emery ends up going, "Scribes freak me out. They're quiet little know-it-alls acting like they can make or break someone by writing something down."
Which I think is very telling, to be
Yeah.
quite honest. It's very, very telling about what even the writers are thinking about scribes in that quadrant, and knowing that your name in history could go down as anything that these people wanted to just by writing the wrong word down.
Yeah, and in the beginning of the book, if we remember, it says that this book has been transcribed from Navarre to modern language, and all names have been preserved. So these aren't technically, these are not their names. I feel like this needs to be discussed a lot more than it is. I feel like this is not discussed about enough anywhere. That beginning excerpt.
Yeah. I mean, when they say that all names have been preserved, that means that they're keeping them secret so that people don't go hunt down their ancestors or
That
their
is true. That
later
is true. That is true.
descendants.
To honor those that have fallen, which again, I want to discuss about that little excerpt so much, but I think we have to do that at the end of like the series. Not that there's any spoilers within it, and I don't have any spoilers to say with it, but I want to discuss it, and I don't think now is the time. And that makes me sad, but it's okay. It's just so interesting. Okay, I'm done. Do you
It's
not find it
also
okay?
I mean, I do. I find it quite interesting. I just think that you may not be explaining it the way I think you want to be explaining it.
That is true. That is true. I can wait. I will wait till the end of this book. It's okay. Not that there's spoilers, but it's okay.
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that you love that. Anyway, so they're going and they're trying to figure out their plan to get into her mother's like office while they're talking about how like writers don't get a break. They're there for 3 years straight. There is no break for writers. It goes right up until conscription day. Is that what it's called when the people walk the parapet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it goes right up to conscription day, and they don't get a break. The year ends, and it starts right back up again. And everybody else gets a break. Infantry gets a break. They're out camping right now. And
well, is it a break, or are they stringently camping in the cold weather to make sure that they can survive being in the infantry?
that is true. That is true. So what it does say is scribes get to go home for the summer. Healers get to spend their weekends on those mind-body health retreats. And infantry might have to practice making and breaking camp in the snow through the winter, but at least they get to spend those months around a campfire.
Which I do think is nice to be outside in nature.
Yeah.
Having a little old campfire.
Yeah. I can't. And I think it also just kind of shows like they do get tired of kind of being, not that they're technically cooped up in Basgiath because they do have dragons and they fly around and kind of do what they want to do, but they're not doing what they want to do. Like sometimes you just want to have a night where you can go sit by a campfire and laugh with friends, which they don't really get.
Yeah, they don't get any of that time to relax and conversate as much as other people and other quadrants do.
Yeah, and they as you can see, they don't even get the like relaxation during sleep. Like they're on their toes 24/7. That sounds exhausting.
Yes, I don't think I could run off of little sleep. I'm not a nice person. Not a nice person in general, I guess, but like Kaylee without sleep, horrible. Don't meet her. She's not fun.
I think you're fun
110%
all
would
of the
never
time, Kaylee.
recommend. Yeah, because I sleep around you.
That is true. You do sleep around me. So they're trying to get into her office right now, and it's a bit nerve-wracking when the general could literally come at any moment and kill you because you are trespassing into her
Mm-hmm.
place office place of work. And Violet, you could just feel like the nervousness because you're obviously in her head. You can feel the nervousness, and she is thinking like, I sure could use Xaden right about now because he has shadows. That would make this a lot more convenient. And Adarna just chips in and going, "You're doing great!" And Adarna just is so happy about it. And Violet comments on, "I swear nothing bothers her. She's the most fearless kid I've ever met, and I grew up with Mira."
And I love that. Just in
Yes.
general, for her to compare Darna to Mira, and the fact that Mira was also so fearless as a kid growing up.
Mm-hmm.
What a compliment.
Yeah. That's so sweet. Uh, I love Andarna. She's so cute. And it's really cute to see her in like the kid, like the such young kid phase.
Yes, I think that it's fun to see her like this because she is really like a toddler, for lack of
Mm-hmm.
better terms. She is a toddler, that elementary school age kid that really looks up to you and thinks that you're the most adultiest adult in the room.
And you're like 15.
Yeah, you know that you're not, but it really brings you a little bit of joy that somebody
Yeah.
does think that you are.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And Darna very much looks up to Violet and thinks she's the best, and it's really, really, really cute, and it's really cute to see her growing throughout the series as well. She's one of my favorite characters. I feel like I don't talk about her enough, but she is one of my favorites.
I mean, I'm sure that you don't, because she's not as highlighted
She's not.
right
We don't get to
now
see
at
her as
this
much
point
as.
in the book.
Yes. Yes, she's not as. Right now, it is definitely in the book working on, like, Violet's bond with Terran. Because he is the older, he is the more powerful dragon, so she needs to. And she could fly Terran. She can't fly with
Yeah,
Andarna.
exactly. And that is hard to bring her in when she's not necessarily writable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then, Kayla, would you like to continue on where we are?
Yes. After Indarna chimes in on her head, they realize, like everybody's ability, one of Quinn's ability is to astral project in places, and so they use Quinn's ability to distract the guard so that they can break in. And now once that plan works, they're in the office and they're looking over certain paperwork and items, and just offhandedly somebody's like, what is this paperwork with all of these numbers on this? Like, this is crazy. And Violet just pops in being like, she's doing the budget. Do you think this place runs off of air?
Yeah. I
You,
think it's
you
really funny. I
know?
like how that's brought up because I feel, again, like in a lot of books and where like schools and stuff are involved, and even TV shows and movies, they don't talk about like, oh, people actually run the school. Like this isn't just here from nothing.
Yes, that there's clerical work being done behind the scenes. Being general of Bethskyeth is a lot more than just being a good general. It's clerical work and budgeting and scheduling and so
All
much
of the
more.
things. All of the
All of the
things.
things that an
Yeah.
administrator actually does that I
Yeah.
cannot list because I feel like at this point it's now above my pay grade.
I also think like I really liked Violet's like just snappy like, what do you mean you didn't know? Is it run from air? Like just so baffled because she grew up in this type of setting, so she just knew that's what her mother did, and so she's just baffled like, what do you mean you didn't know that?
Yeah, and then not only that is they're seeing other things around the room that they think could be something valuable that
And
could.
she does mention like don't touch the mage lights because they have wards and that'll alert her that she's here. And that also Nadine pipes up going like, "Oh, my signet is unweaving wards," which is really interesting.
I think that is very interesting, especially in comparison to other signets that we've seen. Unweaving wards seems very interesting to have, considering the fact that most of the signets are either to shield, protect, or build up wards. Like Mira's, for instance, she has the ability to build wards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's really interesting to see like someone can take down wards because, like you said, like a lot of them are just building and protecting, like building wards, protecting, and doing things like that. So it is interesting that one is, nah, let's not do that. Let's take it down instead.
Yeah, I think, but also at the same time could be used as such like a high military asset
Mm-hmm.
when you don't know what kind of circumstance you're going to be in.
Yeah. And if you want to take down an enemy's wards,
Mm-hmm.
that would come in a lot, very handy.
I think that would come in very, very handy. But they decide not to take the budget, and they decide not to take some other personal knick-knacky
Yeah, like a
items.
dagger that was on her desk, or I don't know what else, but they don't want to take anything else, and they kind of. But they also do mention, like, hey, like, we're not being taught these things.
Yes, because some of the letters that were on the desk were about specific, what's the word?
Battles?
Specific outposts.
You got there. We're so proud of you, Kaylee. Woo! Good job, good job, good job.
Thank you. Specific outposts and people honestly requesting backup. Being like,
Yeah.
we need some reinforcements. This is getting very serious very quickly, and we would appreciate some help.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're not getting that in battle brief, they're thinking maybe this is important. Maybe this could, turn the tides, I guess, for them.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, they did decide not to go with any of like the personal letters to General Sorrengail. And they decide to go with a map that is on the wall.
Yeah, and the map has all of the active and inactive outposts and the where the battles have been.
Which I find very interesting that it took them so long to get to get to the point where they want to steal the map.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
they sifted through so many items.
But I do guess, like, I don't know about you, but I don't know if I'd be looking, like, on the wall specifically. Like, they're probably thinking of something a lot smaller to grab. Like, if I walked into a room and I see a map, my first thought is I'm gonna go, oh, we need a map in Navarre.
That is true. I find it interesting that it took them so long and they were sifting through so many items is because Violet has been in that office since she was a kid.
So then Violet looks and is like, I know what we're gonna grab, and they're gonna take that map. And she's like, I can't reach that. So then she has the other people grab it for her, like Liam and Riddick, I believe.
Yes, the tall people in the group. Actually, I don't think Liam is in there. I think it's Riddick and Sawyer that grab the map because I believe
Riddick is standing guard.
Liam is outside guarding the door.
Yeah,
So I would have assumed that it's like Liam and Sawyer.
you're right. You're right.
But they do decide to grab the map, and after getting the map, they roll it up. They're like, they took it off the wall. They're rolling it up. They finally have it in their hands, and Liam comes in and is like, the guard's coming back. We have to get out now. And it's this mad dash to get out the door. And it doesn't actually end up working out. And they end up having to fight, in quotes, fight this guard. And they push them. They end up knocking him out.
Mm-hmm.
And Violet just so happens to have the sleeping potion on her and is like, do a little bit of that. That way they won't wake up. So we can at least
Yep, and they
get
shove him
out.
in a closet.
Yes, they do. They shove him in a closet. They give him some sleeping potion. And then they run to...
Mm-hmm.
I always want to call it the mess hall, but I'm sure that they have like some sort of like gymnasium area. They run to...
They have a gymnasium.
Well, I would assume that that's where the mats are, but I don't know if they're meeting back in the mat, like in the gymnasium, or if they're meeting back somewhere else. Because technically, everybody is there now.
Battle brief. They're in the battle brief room.
There it is. So they rush to the battle brief room. And they are the last team to arrive. Mm-hmm. And luckily, everybody presents their items in order that they arrived in. So they get a little bit of time to catch their breath before they have to present.
Yeah, imagine being able to, running that entire time and then having to immediately go on stage. That is something I actually had to do one time.
How did it go over there, little Asthma?
Terrible. My knees killed me. I was dying, and it was for a dance class, so it wasn't like I was just standing there. We weren't given our, call time. Or we were. And we were watching the screen, but someone was supposed to come in and be like, hey, you're on next, so you can kind of go line up where you're supposed to. We weren't told, and so someone was like, I feel like we should be going out there now. So one of my dance members went and checked the thing, and she was like, we're about to go on. And it was the song we were supposed to go on to. We didn't go on until a little bit into the song. So then we're running around the entire school to get to the theater. We run, and this is also like the performing day. So we run and we live, and we get there. We're all heaving, and then the beat, as soon as we all got there and stopped, we had to run on stage, and we all went, oh my gosh. It was so close. It was so scary.
But moral of the story is you made it in time, just like
And so
Violet
did
and
they.
her team.
Yeah. Very stressful. I do not recommend. And, then they're kind of like judging what the other cadets, they're not cadets, but what the other teams brought. And, someone brought a scribe, another person brought um a uniform of an
Oh,
infantry professor's.
as well as a letter opener from Kaori's desk.
Yeah.
I also just think that it's very funny that somebody bound and gagged a scribe, like kidnapped this random scribe.
This poor scribe is probably gonna have such a story to tell.
Yeah, I cannot imagine. I'm sure that they were scared shitless from that.
Oh,
Just stolen out of your
absolutely.
bed. This is it. This is what's happening.
Yeah. That'd be so scary. And then Violet and them, it's their turn to kind of get onto the stage, and they bring up the map. And Violet immediately is looking for Xaden as she starts to talk. And Imogen was like, "Hey, this was your idea. I know I was in charge, but this was your idea. You need to co-present it. Like this was all you." Which I love that.
I agree. I love when women are able to share in success
Hmm.
and that women are not scared to say, this was your idea, so therefore you should, take the spotlight. Where I
I
know
agree.
other people are very much well, it was technically their idea, but I was the one that executed it, so I should get the credit. And I love the fact that within their relationship, it is that give and take of we are both in this together,
Hmm.
and I want you to get the recognition that you deserve because this was your idea.
Yes, I agree. And then it's also like their friendship is so early on at this point as well. It shows that this is how it's gonna be. At least we hope this is how it's gonna be in the like if it's starting here, it's only gonna grow and get even better.
I would hope that it gets better, but we'll have to see later on in
I
the
hope so.
series if it does.
Yeah. So then, she's looking for Xaden as they unroll the map, and she says that we have brought the ultimate weapon for our enemies, an up-to-date map on all our current outposts of Navarian wings, including troop strength of infantry battlements, as well as locations of all current skirmishes within the last 30 days, including last night. And everybody shuts up and is like, wow. Just, it's quiet, and all of the teachers are like wide-eyed and very nervous.
Very nervous, but not only that, the idea of, is this authentic? And they ask, where did you get this to think that this was even authentic? And when they say, we stole it from General Sorengale's office, again, the shock, the blank faces.
And all the students are in shock and like really excited, but all the teachers are like, what do you mean? They're very shocked about it. And Xaden is there. Which you like this part, so I think you should say it.
I do. I think that it's so fun that, because this is what I imagine if you're Violet. I just thought it was so fun because all I really can imagine is is Xaden doing this to her and or this?
Like, I always imagine it like grabbing the tip of it and kind of.
Yeah, it literally says that he tips his hat, but we know that he's most likely not wearing a hat, so it's definitely
he tips his imaginary hat to me.
That's why sometimes I'm like, maybe it's the.
That's what I'm thinking. To those that are just listening, we are taking our fingers and kind of.
We are tipping our imaginary hats.
Yeah. And she says, like, oh, so sorry. He tilts that one corner of that beautiful mouth. And
I love that she's so into him.
Oh, I know. And she says that satisfaction fills every ounce of my being as I smile at him. It doesn't matter how the vote comes down. I've already won.
The fact that in her mind, this man tipping an imaginary hat and doing a little quirk on like the side of his mouth, because it's not a real smile. It is like a smirky face.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I can only ever see this man smirking. That she's like, immediately I won. I don't care. It's a waterfall down there. Kaylee. All from a hat tilt. Am I wrong though?
No.
Is that too inappropriate to say on our podcast? No, that
I just
we literally just said shit and fuck.
I just wasn't expecting you to say it, okay?
Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming.
You sure you're ready for our regularly scheduled programming?
Yes.
Okay. So that ends chapter 25. So we are now on to chapter 26, which I would like to read this because it does kind of explain the chapter a bit more. It is the beginning excerpt. There is no stronger bond than that between two mated dragons. It goes beyond the depth of human love or adoration to a primal, undeniable requirement for proximity. One cannot survive without the other. I like that. I like how it explains it. Anyway.
I agree. I like how it explains it, especially because we have not really gotten a real concrete reason why dragon mates can't be separated for a long period of time.
Yes. This is true.
So I really think that plays
we haven't really gotten an explanation on dragon mates, just more that, like, their bond is stronger than a human bond, and, like, we really haven't gone into that much detail about a dragon mating bond.
No, not yet. But I think it does make sense why they would bring it up now. Because this is the first time that Taryn and Sigil have truly been separated in lack of... I wanted to say it in lack of better terms, but actually that is the best term, is they're actually separated.
Yeah. So what do you mean lack of better terms? Because in this chapter, because Violet Squad ended up winning with the map, they've won, and so they actually got to go onto a little, like, I don't know how else to call it, but, like, in quotes, retreat? Where they get
it's a very weird retreat, but...
Yeah, very weird retreat where they get to go to the front lines pretty much and see what it's like out on the front lines for people that work there and how it actually goes.
Which is fun for them.
Yeah.
A lot of the squads were very excited to go to the front line, which I find very interesting that that's what they
Are
considered a
excited to do.
prize and got excited to do, and it wasn't if you win you get like a weekend off or anything like that. They're like, nah, let's go to the front lines, bitches. Let's
Yeah,
go.
but I mean, they do get a weekend off from school.
They do. So they end up going to their outpost of where
Yeah.
they're supposed to go. And immediately when they get there, Rhiannon is kind of acting suspiciously and is like looking around and things like that and is acting a little anxious, and Violet picks up on that and is like, what's going on? What's happening? And it comes out that Rhi says that her family is in a nearby village that will only take, it'll be a very short dragon ride.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing is they have to sneak out. And Violet looks at Rhi and says, good thing we have 6 days to figure out how to sneak out.
Yeah. And I forget what I was gonna say. Good thing, yes, good thing that they have 6 days to try to figure to sneak out. And I really, really, really like how they are kind of like we were saying about Mira, but like how they're kind of like ride or die friends. Like, we have 6 days, we're gonna figure it out. Don't worry, it'll be fine.
And not only that is the fact that Violet was like, I'm going to go with you
Mm-hmm.
and we are going to figure this out together, not I'll keep my mouth shut, but you have 6 days to figure that out on your own.
Yeah.
So I like that it, in terms of their friendship, it really shows how ride or die they are for each other and
Mm-hmm.
how close they are to each other within even the squad.
Yeah. I agree. And it's like you said, yes, like the squad. That was going to be my point. Then you said it right as I was about to. So good job, Kaylee, for reading my head.
I know, reading your head is so easy. I would say that
Oh,
reading
really?
your mind is easier, but according to you, reading your head is better.
Okay, I meant reading your mind. It's okay. I'll just never get to live that down.
It's okay. I think I could get over that. I think there's other things that you still waiting for.
So many things. So, yes, then they go and the so they're flying and Dane is there because wing leaders and not wing leaders. Squad leaders gotta go. What, Kaylee?
You're right. Squad leaders get to go.
Squad leaders get to go on the retreat as well, so Dane is there. And Dane blatantly asks, like, Violet's giving him this look. And Dane blatantly asks, like, what's that look for? And she's like, what look? And she and Dane's like, well, the one where someone just sucked all the joy out of your world. And she blatantly tells him, I was just remembering the guy I used to climb trees with. That's all.
Oof. Oof. Oof.
And he just and she was like, it looks like I just slapped him. And I'm like, good.
Yeah, good. Because I'm not gonna lie, like, I think that would hurt so much more than somebody actually slapping me in the face.
Oh,
If they were
absolutely.
just like, oh, I was just remembering all the good times that we had, and then I remembered how much you fucked it up, and we could never go back to that. Like, that is basically what she said,
Mm-hmm.
and I could understand why he looks like somebody slapped him in the face because of how devastating that is.
Oh, absolutely. That would hurt really bad to hear.
But also, good for her for being honest and bringing honesty into her life, because before, I don't think that she would have said that to him.
Yeah, and I feel like they said earlier, that she did say, like, it's stripping away things, but, like, she is becoming stronger. Like, you could see it throughout this book. Like, she is becoming a lot stronger.
Yes, she is, as well as fostering her own independence
Mm-hmm.
is a big
And that's hard
thing
to
for
do when
her.
when you grow up, and, Mira was definitely there for her, making sure she was safe. And I don't say her mom, but her mom probably didn't give that much of a shit. But it's really fun to see her growing that independence and being able to be independent for somewhat the first time in her life. And it is fun to see in her getting stronger. And I also really do appreciate having, like you said, like an honest female protagonist.
Yes,
Like, I feel
I
like a
am.
lot of female protagonists that we have read I wouldn't necessarily say lie, but they would hide their feelings for their man and
So
not say
I
full
guess
truths.
what you should say is that it is refreshing that Violet does not have a need to mask her feelings to preserve a man's feelings.
There you go. A round of applause for Kaylee for being able to translate what I was saying.
Just in case it didn't make sense to anybody else. I know I translate because sometimes I'm like, this has to be what she's saying. And if I say it like this, it'll make sense.
Yes, it did make sense. Yep, it did. Thank you, Kaylee, for translating my brain.
I mean, for the most part, I feel like it really doesn't need to be translated. It's just my brain does not translate English well.
Yeah.
So it really is for me.
Thank you, Kaylee. So then,
Yes, yes.
I know that Kaylee absolutely loves this part. We get to see one of Kaylee's favorite characters again, and she's so excited about it. And we get to see Mira because she's at this time stationed at this outpost.
Oh my gosh, we love to see the girly pop. But not only that, it's so interesting because when she does get to see Mira for the first time, she openly says that I saw Mira and I forgot to be stoic. I forgot to be untouchable. I forgot to stay in my place. I forgot all of these things that this military school teaches you to do and how to conduct yourself. All of that went out the window when she saw her sister. And it was this, they're running, and all I can imagine is, you know, those videos of like a lack of like better terms, but like those videos of the couples that have never met before meeting in an airport, and like you see one like standing still and you see the other one like running and like
Yes.
flying into their arms. Like, that is what I feel is happening in this scene. Um
Absolutely.
And just the fact that Mira does like hug her, and then they break apart, and Mira scans for damage. Just
Mm-hmm.
like in general, like, is she hurt? Is she injured? Is everything okay?
Yeah. No, it is really fun to see, and then everything of the past 9 months, because Violet's been there for 9 months now. She hasn't seen her sister in 9 months. She's been, with everybody there for 9 months, and she's just like, wow, everything just kind of hit me so hard, like bonding Taryn, bonding and Darna, being attacked in the middle of the night, Zayden kissing her, like everything just kind of starts to hit her, and she just can't express it all at the moment, but she does admit that she's like, wow, like it feels great to see her. And she's like, and for the first time in 9 months, I feel like I'm at home.
Yeah, I loved that part. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. The
It's so
fact that
cute.
she thinks that she's at home when she is with Mira, I think is very touching sibling dynamic. And
Oh,
I
it
really
really
like
is.
it. I also think that it is, on the flip side, something to think about because she was technically raised at Bethgaiath. So shouldn't she
Mhm.
think that Bethgaiath is her home?
Right? And it does even say that. It's like, even though we might be hundreds of miles away from Basgiath, I've never felt more at home.
And I love that the distance to an actual physical place doesn't mean home to her, or that even an actual physical place does not mean home to her. Violet's home is with the people that she loves the most.
Yeah.
And I feel like she really finds that in Mira. And she even says that after all of these things hit her, that she sees like this look in Mira's eyes that she says she she knows that I'm not the same person that she left at the base of the parapet when I first crossed over to become a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that even though Violet could not express everything that had happened to her right at that moment, that they were able to share a look, and that connection brought both of them back into being able to check in silently and know kind of whereabouts what had happened. And
Mm-hmm.
I also love that the fact that when they really do meet, that they start yelling like, oh my gosh, you're not dead, you're not dead, I'm not an only child, I'm not an only child. Like the relief in that situation, in that feeling that nobody is an only child, that they still have their siblings, that they're just kind of so excited that the other one is not dead.
Mm-hmm.
And
And might I say really quickly, I know I've said it pretty much every single episode, the narrator for that scene of the audiobook, so good with that part.
very good. I think, you know, she just really does a great job doing this entire book. And
She really does. And I know that I keep saying it, but I think I need to keep saying it because she really does that good. Like, wow, she really, really did say it. Like, you're not dead. I'm not dead. I'm not an only sibling. Like, she really went into it. It was so good.
especially in the way that she builds genuine reactions
Mm-hmm.
in the audiobook, I think is very touching and can become very heartfelt, and moments that I know a lot of audiobook listeners will hang on to.
Oh, for sure. And obviously, a lot of this does come from Rebecca's writing, but a big prop to the narrator because she did again, phenomenal job. I love her work.
It's
But yeah.
very interesting.
Go ahead.
I was like, you can go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, but yeah. That's all I was gonna say. That's why I said go ahead.
But yeah. Um as they're going through like this very heightened meeting back together, I think somebody offhandedly mentions like, "Oh, is this how they always interact? Like, is this how the Sorengale girls always interact?" And Dane says, "The Sorengale girls have always been this weird." And Mira immediately like, all this is all I see in my head. She's hugging her sister like this. He says it, and she's like, "Shut up!" Like, and then goes back like to hugging her sister.
Yes,
Like Mira's
absolutely.
so swiftly cuts him off and is like, "Shut the fuck up, Dane. Jesus. Let me have
Yeah,
this
put him in
moment."
his place. We need it. We love it. Yeah. And then, then we have a bit of a time skip. And all we hear is Taryn kind of going, don't get caught. And then she, Violet's like, we're trying not to because Ree and her are sneaking out to go see her family now. And
Which
on the way
is
there, they run into Mira. And like she physically runs into Mira. And like kind of staggers backwards because she hit her so hard. And then Mira's like, "Don't you check corners? Like, what are you doing?" And Violet's like, "Well, in my defense, I didn't think you were gonna be there."
I kind of agree with that. In her defense, she really didn't think that she was going to be there because she was not where she was supposed to be. That
Yeah.
this was supposed to be another guard doing a different round of patrol.
Mm-hmm.
And Mira's like, "I switched because you were acting weird at dinner. So I switched just to make sure you're not going crazy or something."
Yeah. And, so then after some like, hey, like, how would you feel if I had because Ree's sister and Mira's like, you need to go. Like, what are you doing? You need to go back to your rooms. Like, we can't be doing this. And Violet's kind of like, Ree's sister's having a baby. Like, how would you feel if I was having a baby and you were this close and you couldn't come see me? And then Mira's like, fine, but I'm coming with you.
And I love that that is something that she uses as like almost a guilt tactic or a manipulation tactic to be like, "But what if I just had a baby and you couldn't see them? You would be sad."
Yeah.
And the fact that Mira is so loving and caring towards her family that she understands why that would be heartbreaking almost. And so Mira
Yeah.
ends up sneaking out with them.
We love it for her too. Like, I like how she goes to, like, hey, fine, I'll come too. So you don't
She says,
die, because I think you're gonna die. And so she doesn't get in trouble. So if, like, she's there, it's, hey, I was escorting them or something too,
"Mm-hmm, exactly," or even just some excuse that could get them off the hook instead of being like, "We actually snuck out."
Mm-hmm. And she says, like, oh, but if you even think about telling anybody, I'll make sure you regret it for the rest of your natural life.
Which I think is so funny because
Mm-hmm.
it also shows that Mira is sticking her neck out for Violet here so that they can go out
Yeah.
and that everything runs smoothly.
Yeah. And so then Mira was like, "Oh, like you've been here for 2 days and you're already breaking the rules." And then she sighs, and you could just tell like that sister, like, "Okay, there's a quicker path this way. Let's go." And so then, they're thankful for her helping her, and they go and they make it to Rhiannon's sister's house. And they
Which
have a
I
very
think
interesting
is,
conversation.
it's fun that they make it there, and the picture that is being shown is is like in this living room area with her sister, and she's holding this baby, and and her sister are reconnecting, and then in the kitchen, Mir and Violet are catching up over like a glass of wine and some food that Ree's
Mhm.
mom so graciously gave them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then their conversation is, there's them catching up, like, hey, I don't, like, if I don't manifest my signet soon, like, she's a little bit stressed about it. And she's, Violet saying, or Mira tells her, like, hey, like, you need to stop blocking it by thinking it has something to do with mom. And I'm like, hmm. Hmm.
I love that, especially the fact that
You good?
she did it. Hmm?
You good?
Yeah, kind of just yawned really loudly and stretched, and I bought back the urge to go, ooh, big stretch.
It's so hard to fight back that urge.
Mm, yes, you stretching. See, now you opened up a can of worms. We were all on the same page.
I'm so, so sorry.
I also think that it is fun to hear Mira say that her signet has literally nothing to do with her mom. And that
Mm-hmm.
once Violet figures that out, it is going to happen for her, and it is going to unlock, and it is
Yeah.
going to be just hers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that is something for her to look forward to. I also think that her Mira laughing that Violet is poisoning people is funny.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. And like she spits out, like almost spits out her wine because of it.
yeah. And then the fact that Mira is like laughing and giving her advice, and then she does say that, damn, my little sister's a fucking badass. She literally bonded two dragons, not one, but two dragons.
And a
And one
feather
of the
tail.
dragons, yeah, and a feather tail, and the other dragon is one of the most powerful dragons of our generation.
She's so
And
proud. It's so sweet.
yes, to hear how proud Mira is of Violet is so refreshing to hear, because most of the people that we've been seeing in Violet's life are not as expressive in how proud that they are of her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because are they really proud of her?
Yes. Are they really proud of her?
I don't know if I believe that they are, but that's a whole nother can of worms. Mira is here being very proud of her, and I really appreciate it, and I would like to bask in the amazingness of Mira being proud of her. Thank you very much. Thank you
Yes.
for coming to my TED Talk.
But also just the fact that now Violet is able to ask certain questions of Mira that she
Mm-hmm.
hasn't really necessarily been able to ask, such as she kind of brings up Summerton again and is like, I think that there's more stuff happening outside of the wall than is what being, oh my goodness, I might not be able to talk anymore, than is what being then is what, oh my goodness, is being taught in Battle Brief? Okay.
Take over, Kaylee. Do you need a second?
Yes. Can you say that, please?
Yes, I can. So she thinks that there's like way more going on beyond the borders, and that like they don't teach about a battle brief. And Mira kind of goes, "Do you really think they would tell battle brief or classified information in battle brief? Like, think of it this way: if you were a healer, would you need to know the details about everybody's patient?" And that kind of makes Violet go, "Oh, well, I guess that makes sense."
When Mira puts it like that, yes, that does make sense. But also at the same time, I'm on Violet's side in terms of, if you're trying to prepare us for war, why are we going over battles that are like hundreds of years old or decades years old, and we're not going over what's actually happening at our front lines currently right now?
Yeah. I think that is a very good point. And it is really interesting that they don't want to teach that. Like you said, like they are, they're trying to teach them about war. Why are they not teaching them about, you know?
And but Mir stands firm behind that, I don't know, analogy. And in for Violet right now, it makes a lot of sense for her, and she's probably not going to question it as much to Mira again. But Mira does mention that she can feel the tension between Violet and Dane. She's like, what is going on? You guys used to be
like,
inseparable.
Tell me, what the fuck is going on between you and Dane? She's like, I've seen less tension between on a crossbow, and I don't mean the good kind.
I love that analogy because when we were taking our notes and discussing this, I had brought up the point where, like, there's obviously tension that is always on a crossbow before you load it. The bowstring always has a type of tension on it, but when you pull it back, that's when the most tension is put on it, and is not necessarily always a good thing, because normally when you put that excess tension on a crossbow, you're loading it to shoot, and most likely in their circumstances, shooting to kill.
Yeah.
So it's never not necessarily a good thing that Mira thinks that they might kill each other.
Yeah. And, Violet responds saying, I needed to change in order to survive. He wouldn't let me. Yeah.
And I find that a beautifully worded statement by Violet, because a lot of the times when she is describing the relationship between her and Dane, she gets very choked up and sugarcoats a lot of things and doesn't want to actually acknowledge what is going on.
Yeah. And also, I think it's really interesting that she also, when she's talking about Rhea or something, like, oh, my friend, Riddick is my friend, and all these people are my friends, but with Dane, it's very much, this is my childhood friend.
Yeah. It is very much, the framing in her mind is different, which is understandable, because even Mira says you guys were inseparable as kids. Like, what is happening? Like, this feels weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then she does say, like, oh, like, I got Amber killed, and she doesn't know how to repair the friendship now. Everything was Zayden, and she's just like, I don't know how to repair it, at least to what it was. And, Mira's like, oh yeah, that, the execution of the wing leader, that's, like, common knowledge around here. I'm like, yeah.
Also, very common knowledge, but the fact that it didn't cross Violet's mind that this news was spread around, kind of like, just in a newspaper, like, they get flyers and stuff that's going on. Is the military, if somebody is executed for disorderly conduct, it would make sense that people would know about it.
Mm-hmm. And, she's like, oh, like, did Ryerson really save you? And she's like, yeah, Zayden's a complicated subject.
Yeah.
And, she doesn't tell her that he kissed her. She doesn't think that they're quite ready for that information.
Especially because Mira says, I hope you know what you're doing, because I told you to steer clear of that traitor's son.
Yeah, and it goes back again to people really just have this huge idea of what the marked ones are.
Mm-hmm.
And really showing how, like, they really do separate them in society. And we've been seeing it this entire book, and we continue to see it with Mira. And we do get to see Violet kind of going, huh? And, like, it even says, like, my stomach turns at Mira's description of Zayden. Because she doesn't agree with what, like, these views anymore.
Well, she's definitely starting to question these views, because as she's starting to see the discrimination that the marked ones are being faced with, and then also the idea of we should not criticize them or discriminate against them for what their parents did, because they had no say in what they did. And now,
Generational trauma.
exactly, I was like, now basically they're perpetuating generational trauma within these kids by still having like that large, like, discriminatory piece of their society.
Yeah, and it's very prominent in their society. And, it's prominent in a lot of societies, but I really like how it is shown in this book and, like, how clear it is, because this is obviously a fantasy world, but it does make you kind of sit and go, like, oh, how is this in our world? You know what I mean?
Yes, especially in terms of depending on what country you live in. But I do think that in all countries, there is discrimination against certain groups, regardless of what country you live in, but can be more prominent depending on the country you live in. I know for us, it is quite prominent.
Yes, yes, it is.
um,
Absolutely.
it's very prominent, and now it's, for us, it's never been a well, a discrimination against race is more prominent than discrimination against your sexuality. Now all of it is so prevalent in our
Mm-hmm.
society, and even depending on what state you live in, it can become more prominent. But it
Yeah.
is a deeply, deeply taught practice.
Yes,
That,
it's a deeply rooted thing here where we are.
yes, and I think that we need to stand up and we need to be better about this, because I don't believe that anybody should ever be discriminated against due to anything.
Anything.
If
Anything. We're all people. Why can't we all just treat each other with respect and be people?
yeah, if we treat each other with kindness and love and respect, then you should only receive kindness, love, and respect. But it's so unfortunate that it is still such a relevant thing in today's society, especially with it, being in this day and age where we kind of thought that we were transitioning out of the 1950s, but here we are.
Here we are. Are we really out of the 1900s?
I'm sorry. I laugh a lot during things like this just because not that it is actually comical, but it helps me feel a little bit more relieved when talking about such heavy situations and circumstances.
I agree.
And, I think laughter is the best medicine sometimes. Even though it can seem like it's an uncurable disease. If we laugh a little bit more, maybe we'll feel a little bit better.
Actually, as someone that is currently in nursing school, it is actually a known fact that people that laugh more are healthier. Like, it's an actual thing. We just learned about it. Like, they're healthier and they... Okay.
I love that. Are they actually happier? Because if that's a fact, then I think science needs to study me more.
I said healthier. Not happier, healthier.
Well, great. I love that I can definitely count on my health.
Right? Anyway, back to the book. They continue talking, and Violet goes, "Oh yeah, like the vest, like the armor you made me from tiny scales saved me. Like, has saved me multiple times, and you need to tell someone about it because I think this should be a staple in our armor and things." And Mira told her that she told leadership, and that they're looking into it, which I think is really sweet.
I also agree because bringing in something like that could be so monumental to the survival of these warriors, like the riders and things like that. I know I'm really boring, Ashley.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happens.
See,
time.
Ashley is like, "Oh, I'm never gonna live down this saying," and I'm like, "No, actually, there's something that I will never let her live down. This, right
I
there,
yawn
that."
I yawn every single episode. I cannot tell you why. I don't know what it is. I'm genuinely not tired. I just yawn. And Kaylee is not boring. I am not bored. I think that we are quite funny. I know that might just be a me and you thing, but I think that we're quite funny, so I'm entertained, so I don't know why I'm yawning. And the more I talk about yawning, the more I'm gonna yawn. So...
We love it. Ashley never yawns, by the way. Never ever. She's not currently doing it right now. That's preposterous.
Nope. I am just breathing. Because that's all that is.
That is correct. She is just breathing.
Yeah. So then, they continue their conversation, and a big thing that happens is Mira grabs something for Violet.
Yes, she did. She so happened to grab and to keep the copy of the Tales of the Baron that their father used to read them. Mm-hmm. And she says that Mira openly says, like, "Oh, I grabbed this book specifically because if Mom got a random hair up her ass and cleaned out all your shit, you would still have it." And she's like, "I have it back at the outpost. I'll give it to you."
Yeah, and Violet is so excited to be able to read it again, and she, is just so excited to reread this. And then, it leads into a really interesting conversation, and where Mira's like, I really don't understand why you like that book. Like, it is just fables and fiction. And she's like, why do you like it so much? And she, she's like, I know they're just stories, but I never used to get why the villains would choose to corrupt their souls and become venom. And now, and then, Violet's like, oh, you empathize with the villain? And she's like, no, but we have the kind of power that people would kill for. Dragons and griffins are the gatekeepers, and I am sure to someone jealous enough, ambitious enough, risking a soul would be a fair price for the ability to wield. Just makes me glad that our dragons are so discerning and our wards keep the griffin riders at bay. I just found that conversation was really, really interesting. Like how Mira was not necessarily empathizing, but I like how she was like Violet was like, oh, like, are you empathizing with them now? And Mira was like, no, but... And they kind of went into explaining how she's just glad that dragons are so discerning and our wards keep the griffin riders at bay.
Exactly. And then she also goes on to say that who knows if the griffins are discerning? Who knows the type of people that those the griffins choose? And I wonder if they are as discerning as the dragons. Which is very interesting to know, especially when you have the struggle between dragons and griffins being such a prominent feature in this world.
And also, it's just really interesting on how she was talking about, these venom things, and how she was like, oh, like, it's really interesting that people would just trade their souls for it, like, and choose to corrupt their souls. Like, this was a choice that they made to corrupt their souls. Like, it's really interesting. Like, this isn't something that just happens to somebody. They corrupt their souls themselves.
I also think that is such a telling point as well to bring into that the dragons and the griffins are the gatekeepers to this power. So without them, you cannot have without them, you cannot have any or possess any type of magic at all.
Like, you need them in order to have these powers. And I think, the gatekeepers. Like, I really do think it's interesting on how she very much was like, oh, they're the gatekeepers. Like, it was a very known thing. This is how it is. Like you said. So then, we continue on. And, they're leaving, and, Violet is like, oh, I kind of wonder how long that mated pairs can be apart. Have you ever been stationed with mated pairs before? And Mira's like, no. And then she's like, oh, I'm just wondering how long. And then Xaden walks out of the distance, or walks out of the shadows and goes, turns out 3 days is their max.
Especially the fact that he appears outside of Rhiannon's family's house, not even at he's not even waiting for them at the outpost. Like, he is waiting outside of this person's house, lurking in the shadows, and basically gives them a huge jump scare. Like, what are you doing here, sir?
3 days is your max. Like,
okay.
So now the chapter ends with Xaden just appearing and being creepy.
I mean, is he creepy or is it sensuous?
I'm so sorry. I'm looking at her note, and I just need you to look at 3 down the don't give a fuck, don't fuck with my friends, page 322, bottom mum tum bum.
I did not write. I did not write that, so you did
I
that.
did, and I don't know what I was saying. I think I was trying to say bottom middle. I have no idea. Anyway, so that leads us into chapter. That leads us into chapter 27, where it starts out with in quotes battle brief. Mira is running battle brief for the most part. Like, think of it like battle brief.
Yes, because these cadets are coming out to the front line and
Actually, they are not cadets, they are riders. Actually,
I think you're a little wrong because they still consider them cadets while they're still in school.
no, actually, they're cadets until they have a dragon.
Is that how that works? I thought they were cadets until they graduated.
No, they're riders now. They're just not a lieutenant.
Sure.
Because remember, unbonded cadets. Actually.
I don't know about that. You're going to have to look that up. Prove me wrong.
Fine. You continue.
Mira is conducting like a pseudo battle brief because these writers
fuck you
are now these newbie writers, the first year writers are all here, and Mira is the highest ranking official and wants to give them a little bit of insight of what could happen on the field in real life. And this is like a theory, and she says,
"Oh, I was like,
we need to
theories. What theory do you have?" We have not discussed this, Kaylee. I am caught up now. Thank you. I'm still trying to find that I'm right. So please continue.
She is setting up this theoretical battle circumstance where they need to infiltrate a base, and they're trying to figure out who is in charge. And when she says that they need to infiltrate the certain base, all of the questions are, well, we're confused about how that base fell because this base should have this, and this protection and that, and that. And she looks at them and is like, don't take this so literally. This is just a theory. Like, calm down. Like, you guys take everything so literally that you guys can't even get your head wrapped around that this place could fall.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
No. I was just, I had a remark, but then you said my remark, so it's okay.
Great. And so as Mira is going on, she's like, so who's in charge? And who's being grouped together?
I love this scene.
And Mira is trying to get everybody together, and they're like arguing about like the change in the hypothetical, and when Mira asks who's in charge, Dane immediately goes, well, I'm in charge. My name is Dane Atos, and I am in charge.
Yeah. And then someone's like, well, actually, our wing leader is here. And then he was like, well, I don't remember that, or leadership wasn't supposed to be here. Ow. Actually.
So, did you hurt your finger or your eye attempting to push up your invisible theoretical glasses? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I hit my finger. Yes, I did. That is exactly what happened.
Thank you. I just felt like I needed to explain that for the listeners that are not watching a video of us.
Yep, I whacked my finger and my invisible glasses apparently fell off because I can't push up my theoretical actually glasses.
And Dane is up in arms and is very upset that Xaden is there and is trying to fight for purpose. And Xaden says, "Give Dane the position that he craves,"
Oh my
because we
God,
all know
so
that
good.
obviously Dane
It's
wants
so
to be in charge and wants like Xaden's position and wants to be like wing leader when Xaden graduates and wants to move up in that. And they're like really getting heated, and
yeah,
Xaden
they
is
really are. They're
talking
like,
to her in her mind, and she's like trying to like when it first happens, she's like confused because she's like, this has never happened. I look over and his mouth is not moving.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
and oh my gosh, yeah, because what does he say? He says, what does he say into her head?
I don't remember, but it is something funny.
I could find it, but
It is something funny.
it
But
is. Okay, you know
then
what? I will prove you wrong later. Let me check back into this conversation.
great, I love that for
But I
us.
do know that I am right.
I would love to
Actually.
see it, because until you prove
Because
me
I did
wrong, I
find
don't know.
because I did find a part that did say, am I a cadet that's never destined to become a writer? Anyway, let
But
me find
when
yes,
do
yes, yes, yes,
they
yes, yes.
anyway?
Sorry. I now have to get back to the chapter. So sorry. I'm getting there.
We love that. So Xaden is talking to her in her head and
I'm
is
ready.
great. Let's go.
Let me. Okay. So, you know, the men are being men.
Mm-hmm.
And they are arguing over everything because they're men. So then, you know, Violet turns to Xaden, who's sitting next to her, and he ends up like putting his arm over her chair, and she's like, "Don't be a dick." And he says, "You haven't even seen me start to be a dick." But she looks and she's like, "His mouth wasn't moving." And then he is like, "Oh my gosh, he said that in my." So then she's just staring at him baffled. She's like, he said that in my fucking head. What the fuck? His mouth isn't moving. And she said, or then he just keeps looking at her and is like, you're staring. It's gonna get awkward in about 30 seconds if you don't stop. And she's just like, what the actual fuck? How are you doing this? And he's like, oh, it's the same way you talk to Sigale. Just find the pathway. I'm like, sir. We're all gloriously, annoyingly linked. This is just one of the perks. I'm starting to wish I tried it sooner. The look on your face is priceless.
I agree that it is absolutely priceless. And she does say, or I'm sorry, he does say while they're having this small interaction, as like they're kind of arguing in her head. Well, she can't argue back, but he's just talking at her in her head. or maybe this is like a response to what Dane says, like, because I think Dane does question him why he is there, and he said,
Yes.
and Violet says, well, it was for Segale. Segale couldn't stay away from Taryn, and he looks at her, and I believe he says this in her head. Did you ever stop to think that maybe it was me that couldn't stay away from you?
So good. And then Violet like jabs him really hard in his bicep, and then he goes, now, you're gonna give our little communication secret away if you can't keep from being so violent. And he barely restrains a smile, obviously loving that he gets the last word.
I love it. But then not only that, is like when Violet was like defending him, Dane's on this other side and is like, of course you would defend him. And then before she even like she's could really like give a full response, Riddick just jumps in and politely asks, well, do you boys just want to whip it out and we can measure it here and now, or can we move on?
I love it. I love it so much.
I love that Riddick is so Riddick's timing is so brilliant. The fact that
Really is. He
he's
really has mastered comedic timing to a T.
Yes, but then not only that is timing within the squad. Like they are watching this little argument play out, and he's like, guys, actually, if you guys could just whip it out, this would be so much faster than you guys fucking arguing for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes now. Like,
yeah, right?
Like, if
Yep.
you
And then,
you want to show it to her, we can arrange that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you boys clearly both want to show her. Just do it now. It'll be so much easier. Measure it, be done. We don't need this in our lives right now. And so then Mira has enough and is like, enough. And Liam is dying. He's like, I'm trying not to laugh, but he is laughing. And so then a writer down the table, who isn't even named, goes, oh, come on, Soren Gale. And then he's like, well, this is the best entertainment we've had in ages. And then, they're still trying to figure out, like, oh, what would be the best way for us to still continue this conversation. And they're like, oh, well, Mira can, create wards and extend the ward. So they come up with this huge plan, like, okay, well, you have a shadow wielder literally at your disposal, Dane, even though you're still in charge. Like, you're still, you have a shadow wielder, use him. Stop ignoring the fact that you have it. Please use it. And then they end up having this, and they create this whole thing, and they're like, wow, like, that really was a good plan. Good job, Violet. And then they go to leave, and she's like, okay, everybody's dismissed, but Dane, Xaden, and Violet, get your asses outside, please. Like, I need to talk to you.
Yes, and I also love, sorry, I'm gonna rewind for a hot second. I loved that when Dane decided to use Xaden's power as a shadow wielder, that Dane openly asks, well, could you even spread your shadow like that far? And Xaden just, like, as he puts his dragon on top of the keep, like, spreads his shadows, and the whole room goes black. And in Violet's mind, you just hear, relax, it's just me.
Stop. And then he gets the shadows away so people like don't start screaming. And
Yes.
and then he again says into her mind, I hope you didn't get any ideas while we were in the dark there. Like, sir. And then she raises a middle finger at him without even looking at him.
Yes, and I love that that's like their dynamic, and also interesting to know, rewinding back a little bit further, is when they were asking everybody's signets, somebody did ask Dane his signet, and Dane immediately says, well, it's above your pay grade. Like, it's classified, you don't get to know. And Violet is shocked that he has not given his signet away, or has not told anybody else, because within like the first 2 days that she was there, he tells her, you know?
Also, I'm so sorry. We're gonna rewind a little bit. Not that much, but we're gonna rewind. I'm so sorry. I need to talk about this. Why did they kill every other intrinsic, but not Dane? Is it just because he could so subtly touch people? Like, I'm so confused on how they let. Because, yes, technically he's a memory reader, but isn't that technically an intrinsic, or at least a form of intrinsic? So why are they allowing Dane past this? Is it because he is the Colonel's son?
No, I think it's literally having to do with the fact that his power only has to do with the past and not the future. Because I think that if it was part of the future where they could see into the future or see thoughts and feelings in the moment, it would be a lot different. I think that it really is rooted in the fact that his power can only, it has a condition. Number one, it has a condition, and number two, that it is rooted in the past. Condition is having to touch them in some type of way, or a specific way. You know, they haven't really said that it needed to be a specific way. It just, from the information that Dane gave us, was that he needs to touch them, which could be, you know, a simplified version that he told Violet.
Yeah.
But also,
but he needs to touch them, and it is a memory. You are right. Technically, it's not an intrinsic. Technically,
I do think that it's like a sub genre of it, though.
I want to get more information on the intrinsic. I need to read a book about these people. Anyway, about this signet, I need to read a book about it.
But now going back to when...
Really quick, before we go back to that conversation, another thing that happens is Violet, like, yells at Taryn, like, get him out of my head, and Taryn's like, you'll get used to it. And then she was like, is this normal with all mated pairs and their riders? And he was like, for some, it is a great advantage in battle. And then she was like, well, it's a pain in my ass right now. And she's like, I miss him, Darna. And then she's like, well, then shield him out the same way you shield me. Or start talking back. And then she's like, well, how exactly am I supposed to start talking back? And then he was like, figure out what pathway it is. You have the power to be a pain in the ass too. Trust me.
I love that Taryn can openly be like, you're a pain in my ass. So just be a pain in his ass now too. And then, you know, the fact that they have like that little exchange made me laugh so hard. It made me laugh so hard. And then for Taryn to chime in and say that all of it, like, to lead up to like the end of the quote unquote battle brief of like Mira being like, you three need to stay behind because damn. And so everybody gets released now, and it's just Dane, Violet, Xaden, and Mira. And Mira, like, openly is like, Dane, you need to stop being such a fucking dick. And
yeah,
Violet,
like,
you need to
get your head out of your ass.
Yeah, like, you need to just get better at this. Violet, you need to work your shit out. And Xaden, I don't know what the fuck you need to do, but do something.
Yeah. Yep. And it also, like, Dane, when they first get there, like, she puts up a sound shield, and he was like, a sound shield? Nice. Like, he's very sucks up to her right away.
I mean, Dane sucks up to all leadership.
That is true. That is true.
It's definitely something about his personality and the way that he is, like, wanting to be that teacher's pet almost so that he gets the credit.
Yeah. Yeah. And she openly's like, you're blowing it if you want his job. Like, you're pissed that Violet bonded a dragon. You know that dragons do not consult mere humans. Like, this is out of her control. I would have never sent her to you if I would have known that you would have been this much of a dick. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. And then he's like,
love
oh,
that.
he's the worst thing for her. And she's like, but this wasn't her choice, man.
Yeah, and the fact that Mira is sitting over here and arguing with Dane about how Violet didn't choose this, and the fact that you are giving her shit for something that is out of control is fucking wild. And you need to get your fucking shit together, Dane, because that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she's like, if I could tell how fucked up your relationship is within like 3 days, how, like, I guarantee you your squad can tell, and it's gonna mess up your entire squad. Like, figure your shit out. Which, yes. And then, she turns. Go ahead.
Well, also, like, she turns to Xaden and says, like, Violet needs to, like, train. She needs to get this, like, her shit together so that she can be strong enough to follow you around and do whatever the fuck that she really needs to do. And Xaden needs to get his shit together and tell their dragons that they need to stay, like, further apart. Like, if, like, worst case scenario, they need to do that.
Yeah, and then she, is telling, like, oh, like, do you realize why he hates her mother so much? Do you know why kids like him are put on their parapet? And then he's just kind of like, I'm right here. And she's like, yeah, you're kind of hard to miss. And then he's like, you're not listening. I am here. Taryn didn't drag her back to Masgaeth. He didn't break down through her shields and pour his emotions into her. He didn't demand she fly across a fucking kingdom. Your sister is still right here. I'm the one who left my post, my position, my executive officer in charge of my wing. She's not missing out on shit.
And I kind of love that. I love that he, stands up for himself, but also stands up for her in the sense of, I know what's on the line for her, and I'm not the one messing this up for her. I am giving her every opportunity to stay at her post and to stay in her studies.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she, is, and then Violet's like, Mira, we're gonna figure it out. Like, Mira, he's taken every spare minute to train with me on the mat in hopes that I can keep my damn seat without Taryn holding me in place. And then Mira's like, you can't keep your seat? Like, she's baffled at this fact.
Yeah, and not only that is, like, she's baffled, but she's upset. She's openly upset about, what do you mean you can't do this? Like, I thought you've been training, you look so much stronger, so why can't you still do this?
Yeah, and then Violet does snap back, like, I'm not you. Like, my joints and muscles, and, that's when she does say, like, like, you look so much stronger, and she's like, my joints and muscles are stronger because Imogen makes me lift these horrible weights, but that doesn't fix me.
I feel like that was so sad.
That was so sad. And there is, like, but that doesn't ... fix me like that. It doesn't fix me like that defeat in the text.
Yes, and you feel Violet's defeat in those words when she openly says it. Yes, she is being defensive because her sister's calling her out on her shortcomings. But then not only that is you kind of see that mentality in Violet, that Violet believes that if she is not strong enough to do things, she is still broken. Like, her mindset of just because I got stronger doesn't mean that that's going to fix me is so telling of what mindset that she's been in her whole life. That she is broken and in pain, and nothing will probably ever be able to fix this. And you can tell that it is heartbreaking for Violet to recognize that, because she also recognizes that her family and everybody else around her wants her to be this strong, invincible person like they have been for her whole life. And they want to see her grow up into this strong, invincible person like them.
And she knows, like, hey, like, I can't do things like other people. Like, my joints will dislocate. Like, this is a legit thing. Like, my joints hurt. I have to do things differently. But, you know, she's grown up in that way where it's, I have to do things this way because that's how my mom did it. That's how Brennan did it. That's how Mira did it. That's how Dad did it to an extent, even in the Scribe Project.
Yeah, and it's also so hard hitting. I think also for Mira to hear that, to hear, well, I'm not able to keep my seat because I'm not you. I'm like, even though I got stronger, it doesn't fix who I am. And to hear that, probably from Mira's perspective, must have been a large punch in the gut. For that to be,
for sure.
You know, I don't know how close you are with your sister, but I know that I love their dynamic specifically because they are 3 years apart, I'm assuming. Violet and Mira are.
I think so.
Yeah. Which is,
I don't know that one.
Which is the age difference that I have with my older sister, and I know certain things that would not be chill to say, and I definitely think like that is one of them. If you know, to be like, hey, I am not as strong as you have always thought I am. Like, I've always been weak. I will always live in this amount of pain, and I'm so sorry that that's not going to go away for you, and I'm so sorry that it's not going to go away for me. But this extra added pressure that I feel like is put on me to please you and to please our family and, you know, uphold the honor. Sometimes can be a lot, but I know if I were to say that to my sister, I'm sure that she would take that really hard.
Yeah.
You know,
and so it wouldn't probably just hit her super, super hard. And she's like, I didn't mean it that way. But she's like, but there's nothing anybody can do to fix me. Like, not just you, not just Mom. Like, no one can fix me. Like, this is how I am. I could be stronger, but my joints are still going to be shitty.
Exactly. But then not only that is like, I'm always going to be breakable. Not even, oh, my joints are going to be shitty, but it's just, I'm always going to be easily breakable is basically what she's saying in this scenario. And I do think that it's nice of Violet to acknowledge that there's nothing anybody can do about the situation. I just am who I am. And now we need to accept this and move on. Because I feel like people are still yet to acknowledge that. And as she's kind of saying that, you hear just alarms going off. Like there's like literal alarm bells going off because now the outpost is under attack.
Yeah, there's a drift of griffins heading that way. Like Taryn yells it into her mind, and Mira's like, fuck, the wards are down. And, you know, Violet's like, I can help, we can help. And and Mira's like, no, if Taryn's using powers to keep your seat, like, you need to get out of here. Like,
Exactly.
you need to go, and she's like, hey, Xaden, like, if you want me to trust you, get her out of here.
Yeah, and then the fact that Violet is so caring, and sometimes, like, I feel like her caring heart gets her in trouble. Because as she was just
Oh, for sure.
acknowledging that she's, like, not strong enough and not doing that, she is fighting, like, tooth and nail to stay with
The
Mira
entire
because she
time.
wants to stay and protect Mira. She's like, well, my dragon is the biggest, so, and my dragon's the fastest, and blah, blah, blah. And Mira's like, get the fuck out of here, kid. Like, if you literally cannot do these things, get the fuck out of my face and go somewhere safe so that you don't die, so that we have a chance not to become only siblings right in front of each other's
Yes.
eyes.
Yeah, literally. And, the entire time, like, Zane was literally dragging her away and trying to, like, getting her pack and, like, doing all these things. She's literally fighting the entire time to go back. Like, please, like, let me stay. Please, please. And even Dane, like, Dane's like,
They're
I'm
going
trusting
up
you
the
to get her out
ladder.
of here, Ryerson. What?
Yeah, I was like, they're going up the ladder when she's still like fighting back, and they're
Yeah.
on the thing, and it's Dane's time to go because
Yeah.
it's Dane, Violet, and Xaden who are the last three left who haven't mounted yet, and they're on top of this tower that they have to like leap onto their dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And right before Dane leaps onto his, he does say, you better get her out of here today. And
Yeah.
I love that Xaden's reply is, there's been a lot of that going on around today. Like, a
Yeah,
lot
like,
of that
oh
going
wow, like,
around
people are
today.
trusting me. How strange.
Like, there's a lot of trust in me going around today. This feels weird.
Yeah. And, Violet's like, please, like, beg. Once Dane is gone, he's like, come on, everyone else is gone. Like, please let me go back. Like, I'm begging you. There's no way I can get on Taryn at this angle because it is that, like, jumping angle. She's like, I can't do that. And
Yeah.
she is begging him. And, he doesn't let her, but he does lean down and kiss her again to keep her
Yeah.
from running.
I mean, you don't have to say it like that, girl.
Am I wrong?
I do think that there is like a heightened state, and yeah, to keep her not from running, but I think there's a selfish motive as well. I think that he wanted to kiss
That's
her at
true.
that point in time,
Oh,
and
absolutely. I
I
just mean, like,
think
his.
that he knew that if he did, she would want to stay with him and would want to listen
Yes.
with him, because she, in previous chapters, have been only craving for Xaden to talk about this, like the other kiss that they had. Like, for only
Yeah, and so no,
wanting
I do agree that
Xaden.
it was like a selfish thing because he wanted to kiss her, but I do like his motivation was like at least what I think his thought process was. What I think his thought process was she's gonna run. This will like I want to kiss her, but this will keep her from going.
I agree with that notion. It's just, you really only see that POV from a different chapter.
Yes, I know, but I didn't say any of the words that are in that chapter.
And that is definitely something that is notable for sure. I definitely think that he does manipulate her, especially when he pulls back and he says, leave for me, Violet. Like, don't leave for other people. Like, don't leave because Mira's told you to. Don't leave because Dane told you to. Like, leave for me. Leave because I'm the one telling you to leave.
Yeah.
And, she replies very much so, like, I will hate you for this. And he says,
Yeah,
I
and he
can live
goes
with
like,
that.
yeah,
And
like,
the fact that he can live with that.
I will hate you for this. Yeah. I can live with that. Arms up, hold tight. Because Taryn was about to be there. He was talking with Taryn the entire time, too. Like, they were kind of, like, conspiring, saying, like, okay, like, just keep her there for, like, 1 more minute. So he kisses her, and then, she says, fuck you. And then Taryn picks her up, and she starts begging Taryn. And then he's like, I've done everything I can and will not risk your life. Like, Taryn does not want Violet to die.
No. And I mean, also, you could say that in and of itself is selfish of Taryn, because, if Violet dies, who knows if Taryn will die.
Yeah.
But
I do think he does care about Violet for more than a selfish reason. At least I really hope so.
I mean, that's yet to be determined. The series has not ended yet. But also, it is a little bit selfish of him because he openly stated when they bonded that he is broken too and didn't know if he would ever bond again, ever.
Yeah.
Like, he was so caught up about his previous writer that he didn't know if he could live through this again. And so, I do think that because Taryn has watched so many humans suffer and die around him, that he does have this inherent need to keep her alive because he doesn't want to go through
tired
that.
Of death.
Yeah. He doesn't want to go through the suffering.
Yeah. And that's where the chapter ends. They're flying back home to Basgiath because, everything is under attack and Mira wanted them gone, and let's all be safe for once, please.
Yeah, and technically this is like Xaden and Violet's second kiss, which is fun.
But not nearly as fun as the first kiss, because very different circumstances, and it wasn't the primary focus, for sure.
It definitely was not the primary focus, especially because, like, as you read it in the chapter, it was so, like, for lack of a better term, not foreshadowed at all. Like, you really didn't know that that's what he was going to do. He just did it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. I agree. But yeah, that's where our little section for this part ends. I think it was a good, like I said, a good arc.
Yes, I agree. I think it was a good arc, and I did love this arc because we got to see a lot of Mira. And Mira is really one of my favorites. I love
her.
I do. I love her.
She's so good.
She is so, so good. But anyway, we hope you guys all enjoyed listening or watching or tuning in with us.
Yeah, and then tune back next week to see if Mira survived the attack even.
I know, I'm very excited.
We won't know until next week.
I'm very, very excited.
Very excited.
Like, subscribe, follow, press all the buttons that you need to do.
And if
turn those notifications
along,
on.
There you go. And if you're reading along, please comment what you think of this part. We love to talk about it. We love the book community, and we love to talk about books with people, if you cannot tell. So, if you are reading along, please comment. And if you're even not, what are you thinking of the book? Of what you're hearing so far? We would really appreciate the comments for that. And I guess our last question is, what did the void say to you?